little connection for you. Tyler's great, five times great, grandfather, and Byron Herbert Reece's great grandfather, Jacob Reece, was the same name. So there's a little relationship there, and I just wanted to point that
I just wanted to say a couple of things before I start. First of all, I wanted to thank you guys for having me here. It is really an honor, so thank you so much for that. I also wanted to thank Dr. Rachel Chavez, who she couldn't be here today, but she helped me a lot with this, putting this thing together. So it was really, she was a lot of help. So I'd like to thank her as well. Just to let you guys know, I'll be reading some of the letters that Byron Herbert Reece wrote during his lifetime. If you are familiar with any of his letters, just know that some of them have been shortened, some of them have been combined together, so I just didn't want anyone to get offended by that. So, thank you very much.
Do you need more, please?
Dear Mr. March, I am happy to comply with your request to send you additional poems and to tell you something about myself. I shall mail the poems to you within a day or two. Meanwhile, since there is little to tell you about myself, and the telling won't require much time, here are some facts about my life. I feel that it is only fair to warn you that I am new at this, and I hope you do not expect too much from me. I was born in 1917 on a farm in North Georgia. The district in which I was born is called Choistoy, which is derived from the Cherokee Indian language and means the dance of rabbits. I still live on a farm, only a mile away from that one on which I was born. I live in between Blood Mountain and Enoda Bald, the two highest peaks in Georgia. When I started school, I walked 7 miles there and back each day. I can remember very well when my father used to haul pork to Gainesville, 50 miles away in a covered wagon. He required 4 days to make the trip. I once went with him to Cleveland, the nearest railroad station, after a load of fertilizer. We were 2 days on the road. We slept in the wagon on the trip, and it was on this trip that I saw my first train. I attended a local school off and on until I finished the 7th grade. My mother had taught me to read before I even entered school. I had read the Pilgrim's Progress before I even set foot in a schoolhouse. I graduated in 1935 from the local high school with 2nd honor in a class of 19. I couldn't manage to raise enough money to go to college, so I stayed on the farm until 1938. I had a poem in the July 1938 issue of the American Mercury. The president of Young Harris College, a junior college, gave me a 3-month scholarship. Later, I worked through college and proved to my own satisfaction that working your way through college isn't as noble as it's generally cracked up to be. I finished with 2 years at Young Harris, but I didn't take a diploma because I avoided math classes and flunked a course in French. I didn't see the use in so many verb forms. It makes me pretty angry to run across a French quotation in an author's work. Monochord is the only poem in my collection in your hands that has not been published or accepted for publication. You may use it as you see fit. As I have stated, I shall send a number of additional poems within 1 or 2 days. And may I say that the acceptance of my collection by E.P. Dutton and Company is the most important thing to happen to me since September 14th, 1917, when I first beheld the light of day. Sincerely yours, Byron Herbert Reece. Dear Philip, I have always been under the impression that I am a very ordinary human being, granting me a few exceptional traits, like my exceptional frankness up to a certain point. Otherwise, I am very dull to myself. But to get down to matters of importance to you, I have invented, I hope, a new form. It is an abbreviated form of the sonnet. This is a not very good example. After a season when all love was lost, to earth turned carrion, and to sea turned blood, a poet wondered where the iron-shod host had wheeled in battle in an ancient will. The bowls were blasted, but the stumps remained. An eloquent symbol to the thinking mind of conquest thwarted and a victory gained. He hurried on with dreadful need to find the changed earth changeless as it used to be, and found it where, full to its ultimate shore, the appointed tides raised up the heavy sea, and the little brooks ran quietly as before. You can see that it's nothing but 3 quatrains akin to the sonnet only of dot division. I have written several in the form and contemplate a sequence to see if it is really worth anything. I am as I was, and when the trumpet sounds, the little worm that spews for me from its belly will know it is. Act accordingly. Byron Herbert Reece. Dear Leon, to amuse myself, I have fallen so low as to copy light verse on toilet paper and disfigure my walls with it. Some of it is fairly good. For instance, this limerick I got from Professor Nance. There was a young lady of Siam who had a handsome young lover named Priam. When he asked for a kiss, she said, "I'll resist, but God knows you're stronger than I am." I take turns liking and hating my classes. I enjoy the poetry, of course, for one reason. I never have had to read the lessons. And for another reason, I enjoy Bob. Half the time I wouldn't give him a free ride to hell, and at other times I could almost love him like a fine painting or something of that order. I know nothing whatever about him, and I don't expect to learn anything about him. I don't want any more because I enjoy him just as he is. Here is a column from the Echoes. I must have been out of my head to let them use such a moronic-looking photograph at the head of the column, and the title, which is not mine, by the way. Nobody even reads literature anymore if they know it's literature. You are my public, and I don't enjoy the column anymore. If I have anything published that I think you'd like, I'll send you a copy. So long. Dear Mildred, it was good to see all of you too. Otherwise, I wouldn't have waited. We would be glad for you to come any time, for lunch or for the day. If you wanted to be specific, let me hear. I read Kappa with a deal of enjoyment. I also took the liberty of mending the dust jacket. Torn things really bother me. I always get involved in trying to patch up soles. Though I should have some better sense, I usually end up renting my own. I have thought and thought and thought about it, and for the life of me, I just can't be a fundamentalist. Would you say the fact that all religions began the same way, in primitive belief of magic, through ancestor worship to a concept of a primary God, does nothing to damage your case? I don't want to influence anyone's religious belief. As I told my students, if there is comfort in your belief, hold on to it. There is none in mine. But I'd rather be comfortless than defrauded. I really have a terrible regard for the truth. Love to you all, Byron. Dear Pratt, this will be an unsatisfactory letter. I am dead tired, dog tired. I have been cutting hedges with a long blade, and after you swing one of those things for 9 or 10 hours, all the sap is gone out of you. This is not what I meant to write about. I enjoyed your letter that came today, and I too admire the 2 poems, Great Love and Possibilities. I like the latter much more because it is deeper and of wider implication. I don't know what Graham's criticism of it may have been, but it irks me for a critic to talk about points of technique. And after all, that is the only thing one can criticize, for the author is not to blame for the spirit of the thing. I've just reached my wall. I've reached the absolute limit of my energy. I couldn't do more than I'm doing if my life depended on it, and that's all there is to it. I think perhaps you might be right in thinking things would work out in time. But waiting is out is a luxury that I cannot afford anymore. To hell with it. I've got to eat. I don't like to be hungry, so I'll meet my English classes as long as I can. I sometimes wonder if I'll ever have the guts to write anything else of consequence. Maybe, maybe not. I can't feel that it matters. It is spring here now, with the surface trees and the red buds in bloom. A little earlier, the wild plums, with their bittersweet odor. At this time of the year, I always get nostalgic for eternity. Did I ever define nostalgia for you? Nostalgia is the instantaneous recognition of our mortality.